Well, Doug started with a story, so I'm going to start with a story too. I remember coming out of grad school and getting a job at the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, and I had the best boss I had in my entire career. And after a workshop like this for educators, she pulled me aside and she said, "John, there are some people who can go up in front of a group of people a little less prepared than typically and blow them away. You are not one of them. You do much better when you're well prepared." And I'm also following Doug Hartjes, who is somebody I respect and admire. And I only have 10 minutes, which everybody in the room knows I'm usually just warming up at that point. So I'm starting off with 3 strikes against me, but we're going to do our best to share some information about Hickory Museum of Art and what we've been doing with strategy that hopefully will be useful to you. So Doug mentioned visiting our website, and I did want to pull it up. Ingrid asked me to celebrate some of the action items that have been completed since we launched our plan. And the first one we did was our website redesign, which we had great creative guidance from Jackson Creative on this. And if you go to the About section on the home page, you go to Strategic Plan, and then all of our institutional story, which is something that we worked on in the 1821 plan, is there. And then you can actually click on the box to view the current 21-25 plan. And Doug spoke about pulling things forward and the idea that there are some things from your other plan or your previous plan that you're not going to want to let go of. And we certainly had that experience. So I'm going to pull this back up to guide the talk here. So it's next to impossible for me to talk about the 21-25 strategic plan without talking about the 2018-2021 one, which basically relaunched Hickory Museum of Art. And we spent a lot of time in contextual analysis during that first plan. I think we had over 600 data points from our internal and external surveys that we did. And by way of that contextual study, we did land at a mission statement that is really brief. Some of you have heard it about 250 times by now. It's to bring people together and inspire creativity through the power of art. So just 12 words. And I always say if 12 words is too many, just think empathy and the creative process. Because we were thinking about the role that the Art Museum can play in making the world a better place for everyone. And we know that the world is really divided right now. There's more to disagree about than there is to agree about. And if the museum can be a place where people from all walks of life can come together, see something really unique, maybe their hearts will open, maybe their minds will open. And if we combine that with teaching about the creative process, so the mindsets that artists bring to creating their work, that becomes a toolkit for hopefully people to go out into the world and work together to make it a better place. So we didn't let go of any of that. The aspects that you saw on our website really are our doctrine. Our 6 core values are like our 6 commandments, and we like to think that our strategic plans are like our Bibles, and they're what guide us through our work in the day-to-day. So there are some elements too, we like to think about the strategic plan as the next installment in your favorite series. So in the 1821 strategic plan, there were 4 focus areas: operational health, art, community, and financial strength. And these are the order in which they appear in that document. Because at the time, operational health was really an area where we needed to focus. There were a lot of things that over time had kind of fallen by the wayside. Business practices, programming practices, you name it. So for that plan, operational health was the first thing that you saw. And then from there, art and community are the heart of what we do. So we had them in the middle. And then financial strength was going to be the backbone that propelled us forward. So now for the new plan, You can see from this graphic, which I actually pulled from the document, we've taken things and evolved them to kind of trace the trajectory that the 1821 plan launched. So with community, now it's the first thing that we do because we feel like we have evolved and we're at a point now where we can authentically and consistently deliver experiences for our community that hopefully encourage them to engage. And audience engagement is about not only connecting with audiences who are familiar with what we do, but broadening that reach and inviting more and more people to come and be transformed by our mission. And then from there, art is always a focus, and you'll see as we get through the slides how the strategic plan guides the work that we do. And then financial growth, we feel like we're at a stage now where we've built a base, and the next chapter is going to be defined by trying to do more. And the only way we're going to do more is, like Doug said, if we continue to engage our donors with the plan. And then operational excellence reflects our ambition to be the best museum the best museum our size in the world, which is something I say over and over again. But it's about how the foundational work that we did in the first plan has positioned us now to take on bigger and more meaningful representations of what it means to be a great museum in all of its forms. So we talked a lot about board engagement, and I wanted the slides to be able to share some of the practical ways that our strategic plans have addressed this. And this is the framework that Doug presented before, right? Goal, objective, and he calls them tactics. We call them actions. And I think that that is really important. This idea that your plan reflects how your organization communicates. What is your vocabulary? What is your day-to-day? We talk all the time about action steps because that's what they're called in the notebooks we all use. So we liked actions there. So for each of those four foundational areas, community and audience engagement, art, operational excellence, and financial growth, there is one goal. So strengthen the foundation of HMA to ensure sustainable growth is the one for operational excellence. And then we talked about aligning the board and the committee's actions with the plan and what the team and overall the institution is trying to accomplish. And one way that we did that in the first plan that we did pull forward into this plan is our board engagement dashboard. And you can see there are key performance indicators for a membership-driven nonprofit. Every board member should be a member. We had 16 board members the year that this dashboard derives from, and all of them were members. And then we encourage everybody to make an annual fund contribution, help with a program, and then this one here is a really important one, the volunteer hours, 834.8. That number has gone up every year since we did the 1821 plan. And one of the reasons why that is a lot of these slides that I'm sharing with you derive from our actual board launch, which we do every August. So it made preparing at least a little bit easy that I had these ready-made. And every time we do that board launch and at mid-year, we review this dashboard. And to Doug's point, our board presidents have fun with it. They compete against one another, and they try to encourage the board to give more and do more. So 834.8 is up from 803 the year before, which is up from about 780 the year before. So at any rate, that has been a helpful tool for us. So new initiatives. I follow everything Doug does, so I know one of the things that he likes to talk about is that new initiatives can be abundant. There are many opportunities and many ideas in the types of organizations that we work with or work for. How do we know which ones to do? The strategic plan can be a really good lighthouse or a filter for what you're actually going to do next. So in our financial growth area, we had identified through strategic planning that the museum does a great job on a lot of things, but thanking people really needs to be one of the key drivers of what we do. Have an attitude of gratitude. And so we launched a new event this August called HMA Honors, where we celebrated 2 of our longest standing volunteers. And that was a great event. It delivered on so many different levels for what we were trying to accomplish, and was one that I think is a model, and it's one that we are going to pull forward now as a new annual tradition. And then on the programming side, and I was not aware that I was going to have 2 members of HMA's collection committee here. But a strategic plan helps not only on the operational and business side, but also on the programming side. And I don't know if you know, Hickory Museum of Art has one of the world's greatest collections of Southern contemporary folk art. You have to come and see it. And we, as an institution, have a responsibility to always be looking at our collection and to see where our gaps are. And as a Museum of American Art, there are many gaps in our collection that take a lot of different forms. We, by way of looking at our collection, recognized that we had a lot of 2D works from the Southern contemporary folk tradition, but that we did not yet have a great Southern quilt. And that's something you need to have for your folk art collection. So we planned an exhibition where we brought a great collection of Southern contemporary quilts, the improvisational quilts of Suzanne Allen Hunter. And not surprisingly, people got excited about it. Our folk art supporters actually challenged us to help us raise funds to get a quilt. And I'm happy to share that we got one. So this is Suzanne Allen Hunter's grandson, who actually slept beneath the quilts. They had about a dozen left, and flew down. I sat in the living room and looked at all of them after we raised those funds, and now we have a really, really great example to share with our community. So again, the strategic plan can be really helpful on the programming side as well. And that initiated, our collection committee can tell you, this action item here about creating a framework from which to evaluate potential acquisitions. Our group has been working on a list that started with contemporary art and went backwards in 50-year increments, where they're looking at what we have and then suggesting where do we go next. So it's pretty amazing. Doug talked about the plan, giving people a sense of what to work on. So I know we don't have too much time left, but I wanted to just say, keep the plan visible. Have it be a through line through everything that you do. So this is a slide that is from that board launch in August. And Doug talked about before how quickly action items pile up the more goals that you make. With 4 goals, we have 72 action items. And this is the progress that we've made so far. Not bad, right? So what is that, 56 that are underway, and considerable progress has been made on them. And then I broke them out by category, just so our committee members could see where there were areas of the plan that we needed to get working on. And then also this idea, I say the same things over and over again. One that I say all the time is, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. And timing is a big part of when you can't do everything all at once. So this is the less glamorous aspect of the strategic plan. You don't see this one on the website, but this is the tool that our team actually uses in our quarterly reviews to ensure that the plan is being followed. And responsibility, there is one of my other ones I say all the time, everybody's job is nobody's job. So each one of the action items has a responsible party. And then what is the vehicle? In some instances, it's seasonal planning, which is a team-driven activity. But in some instances, income and expense task force, that's a committee activity. And then the status, we update in real time during those meetings. And you'll notice mine stops halfway down because my team knows me well enough to know that I don't take very good notes and that I also fall behind really quickly. So they said, don't worry, we're doing this. You'll get a clean, typed up version to review, which I appreciated enormously. And last but not least, this is just as quick as I can possibly go, an encouragement to come and visit us at HMA. And if we don't get to any of your questions or things that you want to know more about today, just send me an email. Nothing would make me happier than to walk the galleries and kind of show what this looks like in real time. And we do have an amazing exhibition on right now. That is one that I think everyone will enjoy. This is Mel Chin's C2C. There were 2 artists that won the MacArthur Genius Award in 2019, and Mel Chin is one of them. So that's about the best honor a creative person in our country can have. And this is a larger-than-life installation which puts you in the middle of the Panama Canal in between the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean and allows you to witness 100 years of science and history in about 10 minutes. So, and that one comes, the goal for the art section is leverage the success of HMA's exhibitions and collections management to continue with programs that further our delivery of excellence. So we like to think this is a good one, which is why I have ended there. So thank you.
All right, so hello, how are you guys? Good morning. All right, so my name's Ladira. I'm a fine artist in Charlotte, North Carolina. I create vibrant abstract art for spaces that crave color. That means that you have a white wall and you're just like, what do I do with this? You have a work office, a hallway, and you're like, what do I do? People call me and I create art for them. So, we're here to talk about like business planning and being strategic. And I think for me personally, I have been doing art all my life, and I never really wanted to be an artist until I was in probably 4th grade, and I was in Okinawa with my parents, because I'm from a military family, and I saw all these people that were doing art. We were at a market, it's like we were blowing glass, and I was like, oh, they're like doing this for a living. You're like, okay, cool. So that was always stuck in my head as I've grown older. I started going to college for accounting, and I was like, my partner was like, hey, maybe you should do art. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it out. And ever since 2014, I have created art. That's all I've done, and you know, I enjoy it a lot. So what has gotten me where I am is that I worked for, they like, when you dive into being an artist or, like, what do you do? My thing was like, I'm gonna stop working at all these different places during college. I'm gonna go actually work in the art industry. So I went to go teach, never taught in my life. However, I'm really good at communicating what I want to other people, and that's also how I have a successful business. So I was teaching until 2019, and then I went full-time in January 20th of 2022, and that was the biggest leap I've ever done. I had so much faith that that's what I wanted to do. However, instead of just diving into that, I had a plan, and I was already in West Elm. I was already in Minted. I was already doing art licensing. And before then, it was like, I wasn't really selling my art. I was more doing just, teaching and art licensing. And so that's one industry that I feel like a lot of artists don't get into because, a lot of people think that you need, agencies, galleries, all those things. I don't have any of that. It's just me putting myself out there and, sharing people who I am and actually caring about what other people think and what they want from me. And so over here is my website, and every artist should have a website that shows people who you are, what you do, and, what do they want from you. So for me, I know that my clients that I have, they want stuff that's colorful, they want to feel inspired, they want that moment of joy all the time. Every day I get messages, I talk to my collectors all the time That's just why I'm not in a gallery, is because I have genuine connections with each person that I talk to that purchased my art. And so on my website, I have a way of showing that most people should do with their website, is showing other people of like the feeling of what you're trying to do. And ideally you want to do, like I did entrepreneur courses and stuff like that, but it's really hard when you are artists to imply that to like what you're doing. It's like, this doesn't make sense to me. So I even got like women's entrepreneurship certification for Bank of America. It's free for women. This is twice a year. So if any woman is in here identifying, go to their website, sign up for their email list, because you're in there for about 8 weeks. You have a community in there, and they're telling you about how to run a business, nonprofit or for profit. And my biggest gain from that was like, no trust. That's any business that you know that they need to know you, they need to like you, they need to be able to trust you to even purchase from you. And then once that happens, it's like, okay, cool. They're gonna buy, and then you try to keep them coming back to you with new products or, you know, the same thing that you're doing. So on my website, I have communicated. So I'm dyslexic, so I have an assistant that I do all my writing, they do all the copy for me and go through it. So I'm just doing a visual representation of like how I want people to feel. I use keywords, which, you know, if you're on Instagram or TikTok, they're like keywords, keywords. And you're like, what is a keyword? It's just words that you use to express what your client wants from you and what you want them to feel. So for me, I have all these different things that I do, and I just show that you want to look professional, and that's what I've done. I work with all these other people here, and what I think is really important is that you always try to tell people like who you are from the jump. Like, you don't want people to feel like they don't know you at all. So for me, I'm really bubbly, and then it's like, it goes down a little bit and then it goes up. It's like a little wave. So with my website, I kind of express that, and I'm very introverted as well. But a lot of people don't know that, because when I'm like in settings like this, I go on, and then when I go home, it goes off, because I have to reincorporate, like, you know, like I got to get my energy back up. I have to fill myself back up with more energy to be able to do this. Okay? So when it comes to actually planning for an artist, you have to think about like, what do you want to even do with your art? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to just put it on display? Or do you want to just have it as a hobby and not make any money from it? And for me, I've always been like, I'm not really attached to my art because I think my art deserves to be in the world. I want people to look at it every single day, which the people that collect from me, they do. And they're like, I found something new. You bring me so much joy. They give me a lot of compliments all the time. And I'm really thankful for that. It's really a blessing to have like a community that is just cheering you on. You say you're doing something new, they're like, okay, where can I buy? Which, you know, a lot of artists feel uncomfortable about money and all those things. And it's something that I used to be like a workaholic. Like when I was teaching, it was like, when can I can do that shift. They called out, I'm on my way. And for working for yourself, you can't do that. For last year, I burnt out around this time, and this is supposed to be like the peak season of all the seasons for small businesses. And I was like, I'm tired already. I really can't do this marketing right now. But I did, and I didn't enjoy it. So this year, I was like, I'm actually gonna plan not to do releases of like different collections until I feel like it. Like I used to be on a set calendar of like every quarter there's this, and then I'm also gonna do this. And it was like every month something was being released. Excuse me. And so this year I've decided to go at my own pace of how my creative freedom is going. So for the past 7 months, I've been creating 3 collections. And people are like, are you gonna release art this year? And I was like, yeah, I will. You know, get on my email list, because that's the biggest part of all of this. Like, I even took like a break from social media during September. And usually September, I'm really busy. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. And I did. And the reason why I was able to do that is because I have an email list. I have almost 500 people that I talk to. They communicate with me, and that's one of the biggest things that I think any artist or business should have. For profit, not for profit, that is like where it's at. That's where you make majority of your income. And social media, that's amazing. That's how I've got commissioned by HRM Health. That's how I got Wells Fargo to collect a collection for me for their new corporate building in Charlotte, is because I have a great presence on Instagram and I show people and explain to them exactly what they want. So I hope that was helpful. You know, is there any questions?
I just want to point out, for those of you that are in this room, that Ladera is talking about exactly what we were talking about. She had a goal, which was to release collections a lot. She got to the end of that time period and realized that it was too much because she evaluated it, and so then she redone the whole.
Business model, yes.
Back to business.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your
Even if it's not
business?
as official.
So how has that impacted your business since you made that shift in not being regimented?
I think I've been more productive in actually creating art than I was before. I've been more intuitive into my art practice, and it made me be able to do opportunities like this. And for me to go teach a retreat, I taught a retreat 2.5 weeks ago, and I would have never been able to do that. I took a week, went and taught, and loved it. And that was one of my goals this year. I was like, I really want to do a retreat, but I was like, I don't know how to do that. And one of my collectors, she's the owner of the retreat, she was like, you know what? I look at your painting every day. I really want you to come teach at my program. It was Bible journaling. And I was like, I don't know anything about Bible journaling, neither art journaling. However, when I got there, they were welcoming. They explained that to me, and how my art process basically is kind of the same exact thing. There's no difference. And another thing that has happened that not being able to do those collections every quarter is that I've been able to mentor other people and being there for them instead of like, I'm gonna just email you back, like I've actually been able to get on calls with them and talk to them and help them with their journey. So I've been able to do things and I've curated a show this year, and being able to put what I love and what I do into other people has come out this year a lot, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, maybe next year I'll release all collections, who knows, but I know that at the end of the day, I have a community that supports me regardless of what I do. They come to one girl came to a retreat, and I was like, well, didn't know you want to do that, but I'm glad that you did. So, but yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
So I guess what you just said kind of answered my question in regards to your advice would work for artists in different mediums, so not just a painter, but like a musician or an artist that works with furniture, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You find that to be true?
I think that is, because I think it would be, all of us are creatives, and we're all trying to, I feel like at the end of the day, do the like, no, trust. I don't know if it's you, you're making monetized content, and it was like amazing. I don't know if that was you.
No.
Okay, cool. Well, she was saying how you are monetize your content and you're still trying to find your audience. And it's like, that's one of the key things to do, but it's just niching it down just a little bit just to figure out like who's actually enjoying this. And for me, it's like my art may look like bubblegum to some people, and then to some people, they're like, this inspires me every day, and you got me through COVID, which that has happened. That's the reason why on my Instagram I do like a happy Friday, happy Saturday, is because during COVID, they were like, I look forward to that every single morning. And I was like, you know what, I'll keep doing it. I didn't think, I was just saying happy, Tuesday, but that meant something to them. So I think that part, I don't know where I was going with that, and I forgot what I was even saying, but I just felt like that was important. But I think your audience will respond to exactly what they need from you, and that's how you know that they are there. And you just attach to that and try to find more of those people online. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, let me phrase this. With social media, obviously, is very important right
Yes.
now with everything and anything, especially with having a business. So with you being on social media and you having a presence there, how did you go about doing that and also keeping like your integrity and your authenticity? I have a hard time on Instagram. I'm a DJ, so building a following is clearly very important for
Yeah.
getting gigs and doing anything. So, but I don't like social media just because of the fakeness, I guess it is. So I have this constant battle with what do I post, what don't I post. I would love to just get on social media and be myself, but I'm gonna get canceled really quickly. So I don't know, it's just, it's difficult, I guess, so.
I think it would be, it is difficult. I still have days where I'm just like, not today, not doing social media. That's how I was yesterday, because I was like, I need to prepare for this today and be 100 today. But I feel like with social media, even with all their algorithm and all the things, and they're not showing your stuff to other people, you got to put out like just being I honestly just am myself. Like my community, they know that I'm gonna misspell a word. Like they're like, I might use the wrong, thing, but they're not gonna be like, hey, you spelt that wrong. They just automatically be like, yeah, understand that, da 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 da. But I think that it's just trying to be really, just being your authentic self. Like at the end of the day, it's like before authentic was like a key word of like 2021. It was like I was using that word when I was starting to post in 2017 of like, I'm always gonna be myself. I'm not gonna change for nobody. And it's like, if you have views that you think are controversial, it's like, do you want your business to align with that? Just how you are as yourself? You got to just put them together. Like, I'm an artist. I know my views. I don't necessarily talk about political things, just because, like, sometimes I do, but I just think it's like, you have to, if that's who you are, then be who you are. That's the thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
I think my hardest thing is like, I deal a lot with children.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of nightlife. So
Yeah. So are you a teacher during the day?
I'm
And
a
then,
teacher. I
or,
just do a lot of events with like the community, my community.
Mhm.
And I have like a big youth presence there. I deal a lot with the youth in the community.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like it's kind of hypocritical to be like, clearly I'm of age. If I'm drinking, I'm posting, you know what I'm saying? I just don't want it to be a bad influence, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But once most of my content is not good for the kids to see.
Mhm.
And like after doing field days in school system, all the kids were like, oh, I followed you on TikTok, followed you on everything.
Yeah.
And then I had to immediately go through a clean sweep of my social media because it just wasn't anything that I wanted for them to see. Because I go around in my hometown and they're like, oh, DJ Lego, like, hey, like. So I know that they keep up with me, but it's just a sense of not wanting to.
Is it the same organization that does with the kids and the DJing at night?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. Well, I think
It's
you
not the
could.
same, but
Go
I'm still at the same face, you know?
So I have a question. So if you have, would it negatively time DJing if your social media was cleaner?
Yes,
Oh, then you do have an issue.
yes.
Yeah.
It would literally directly impact both.
I would,
So I kind of just stopped posting for a long time until I could like kind of figure out which route I want to take.
Ladera, this is like a branding question, right?
I know. That has to do with branding. Like, I think it would have to come back to, like, before you even get on social media, you definitely got to figure that out. Like, what is your branding? Like, what is your mission? What's your values? And yeah, and like all of that will tell you what you exactly need to do. Because I used to work with the kids, and it's like, I'm 32, I drink, I like whiskey, you know? So, you know, my thing is like, if I'm out and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna go have a drink, and I'm like, I really wanna share this because I'm with clients, I'm gonna do it. Like, some of my kids that I used to teach, you know, they follow me, and that's okay. Because, you know, I know their parents, they're fine. But I really think it has to come down to like that part. And it might be that you have to separate the two until you feel comfortable having those two together. I think that would be my advice. But yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.